If you're a tech professional and you're applying loads and hearing nothing back but rejections and ghostings, in this quick video, I'm going to show you exactly what you're doing wrong and how to actually fix it as well. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Cameron. I'm a 23-year-old ex-Apple, ex-Amazon engineer, actively working in the field, and I'm here to tell you exactly what you're doing wrong when it comes to this. Now, I've been around the block a fair bit of time. I spent about 3 years building out systems to effectively get me into my ideal roles in tech. And there's plenty of different things that I tried. I tried various strategies and only a handful worked. Out of, let's say 200, let's say 20 worked. Now, those 20 strategies led me into the Apple and Amazon engineering positions that I obtained. And something that I noticed is that the majority of candidates are focusing on all of the wrong things. Now, when I say the wrong things, well, what do I specifically mean? Well, if you go on LinkedIn, you go on Reddit, you speak to your uni professors, whatever the case may be, you're going to see the same thing said time and time again, which is you need experience, you need certifications, perhaps a degree, and that is it. Just grind out more leak code, learn more technical subjects, and you'll do just fine. And I'm here to tell you that that's not actually the issue. That's not the bottleneck. And the reason for that is because that's what everybody else is focusing on, and you're looking at them telling you to do the exact same thing. But when you look at their results, you see that there are no results. They are not in their ideal roles for tech themselves. So it kind of begs the question, well, why would you want to listen to them if they're not in their ideal role that they want to be in, right? Because logically, if we want the best probabilities for us to be in our ideal role, we should only listen to people who are in their ideal role themselves, not people who just say, well, this is what I'm focusing on and hopefully that works out, and you go, oh yeah, you know what, this guy's trying to do that way, so I'm going to do that way too. Because in reality, right, and the historical trends with regards to just technical skill set development and not it being correlated to landing ideal roles is exponential. It's going up consistently over time. And there's no proven system where, oh, if I just learn more leak code, if I just do more projects, if I just get a few certifications under my belt, that's going to give me any sort of significant chance for actually landing the positions that I actually want to have in tech, right? Because if we actually operate with professionalism, like the tech professionals that we are, we should see that. We should see that it's not working for anybody else, and we should consciously make the decision to do the complete opposite. Now, the reason why we do that is because we don't want to get stuck in the same traps as everybody else. If you look at everybody else at the moment, they're not in their ideal roles, they're focusing on all of the wrong things, which is actually preventing them from hearing back from companies. And of course, if we choose to do the same things, using the same strategies, the same ways of thinking, we're going to get the exact same results as them. And it's not working for them, so why on earth would it work for us? Now, I learned this early on, around about 17, 18 years of age. Now, I started focusing on something completely different, and something that's basically a competitive edge in the market. So I have an edge against any single candidate I could possibly go up against, because I know as a fact they are not focusing on this. And this is going to be the solution to all of your problems. Now, what I focused on and what I learned from a very young age is that positioning and perception hold a lot more weight than your technical capabilities. Now, when I say positioning and when I say perception, what do I mean? Well, positioning is how we are actually being observed and placed inside the job market. When we have correct positioning, it means we're coming across in a very particular way. We are portraying the value that we need to companies for them to know that we are the best choice and inspire confidence within them to be able to do so. And overall, we have the tight positioning around the roles that we actually want to have. Because if we have no positioning, we don't actually know where we have a foothold in place. Now, the reason for that is because a majority of candidates do not have any positioning. They just beg for roles, they do cold outreach, they just stack up on certifications, thinking that that's going to change anything. But in reality, what they're missing is positioning and perception. Now, positioning is going to be so important because this is something that I can actually say got me into Apple as an engineer. Same as with Amazon as well, but especially Apple. And the reason for that is because there was 200 candidates who applied to Apple and there was 2 spots available. I got one of those 2 spots, and that was down to positioning and a mixture of perception as well. Now, the positioning part we've just covered. What do I mean by perception? Well, perception is going to be how we're being perceived, so seen and observed, by the companies, right? Or by people in these companies, I should say. So hiring managers, recruiters, interviewers, and so forth. Because overall, you can have the strongest technical skill set. You could have 5 certifications, each costing $1,000 each. You could have a uni degree, bachelor's, you can have a master's degree, you can have 5 to 10 years worth of experience. But if you do not have the correct perception, being observed and seen correctly by the companies, you will never land the roles that you're wanting, even if you are technically overqualified on paper based on your qualifications. And the reason for that is because there has been a very big shift in the tech industry in the last 5 or so years. People are not being hired based on it being a meritocracy anymore, not based on qualifications. Instead, what it is it's based on emotion, it's based on feelings. And specifically what we want to do is we want to inspire the feeling of confidence within companies, so hiring managers and so forth, so they know that we are the best choice to go with. Because if we do not do that, it doesn't matter how much technical knowledge that we have or how much technical learning we actually do in our spare time. Because in reality, if we're not actually having that level of confidence, we're never going to be picked for the ideal roles that we want. We can do some very fantastic projects on the side, we can do leak code, we can do AI stuff, we can do all of these things. But if we don't get the perception on point, which of course the positioning helps with, then we will never land the ideal roles that we want. Because the perception is so important. Like, think about it for a second, right? If someone just came up to you on the street and they just was like, oh, you know what, I've got these certifications, I've got this uni degree, you know, this and this, I've done these projects, you know, can I come and work for you? You're going to be like, well, I don't really care about your qualifications, who even are you, right? That is where perception comes in. Because if we're being perceived correctly, it means that we've nurtured the right people within the company, so they look more favourable to us. So therefore we can actually influence positively our interview rates and actually passing them. And of course, getting that offer in hand as well. Because in reality, there's a lot more that goes into being hired than just your technical skill set. That is an incredibly small part of it. That's only going to be covering the technical interview questions. But you've got the intro to the technical interview, you've got the outro, so like Q&As and what else you would ask them. You've then got behaviorals, you've then got coding on-site, you've got remote interviews, you've then got the ATS and passing that, you've then got a bunch of CV and application things, you've then got negotiating the offers. Like, there's so much that actually goes into it that most people just genuinely do not realise when it comes to actually landing your ideal roles. Because if it truly was down to your technical skill set, all of these people you see online who are saying that they're doing certifications, who are saying that they're doing leak coding projects on the side, they would be in their ideal roles right now. But I can tell you as a fact that they are not. Because if they were, they would of course showcase that, and we never see that. All we see is on LinkedIn, hashtag open to work in people's banners, even though despite they have the best technical skill set. And that's because it's not about a technical skill set problem. It's about positioning and it's about perception, right? Because if we market ourselves correctly, which is essentially the full picture, right? Positioning and perception come under marketing. If we market ourselves correctly, we inspire confidence based on various different indicators. For example, urgency, positioning, perception, and so forth. So that we can inspire confidence within these companies to know that we are the best choice. And we do that not based on qualifications, but we do that based on marketing, right? Because if you have everything you could possibly need, that's technical qualifications under the sun, it doesn't mean that you're going to guarantee yourself your ideal role. Whereas if we have someone who's, let's say, got half of the qualifications you have, but they are actually marketing themselves correctly, the company's going to reflect when they need to make a decision on an offer. Who do they give it to? Person A, person B. They're going to sit back and have that emotional response when they hear your name. This is part of the personal branding aspects and elements as well. Because if they feel calm, if they feel like they've made the right choice, if they feel confident in the fact that they wish to hire you, they're always going to pick that person with less qualifications who has a higher perception than the other way around. And that's exactly what I did personally to get into the position that I'm in today. When I went for Apple, right, it was an internship. That's how I originally got into the company. I had less than 6 months of experience. I had some no-name certifications, and I was still doing my university degree. I was competing with people who had 5 to 10 years worth of experience, masters and bachelors, and basically any certification you could possibly want an employee to have under the sun. Yet, despite all of those, I outcompeted every single one of those candidates, and I got one of those 2 spots available out of 200 people that applied in a 24-hour period. Now, you sit here and tell me that that was because of technical skill sets, because I can assure you it wasn't. Everybody else had a better technical skill set than I did. They had 10 years worth of experience, a decade. I had less than 6 months. And I'm telling you this not to boast, but to tell you and show you that it's not always coming down to your technical skill sets. Because in reality, there's a lot more that goes into it, as I've mentioned. Now, every single part of this is going to be building up to a bigger picture. The bigger picture is going to be inspiring confidence within these companies. But how we actually get there is through minor, small indicators, which build up upon and compound upon themselves over time. Now, positioning is one of them. Perception is another. Authority, credibility, I can go on. And all of these indicators will be building up the bigger picture to inspire confidence within these companies to know that we are the best choice. And once they understand this, and once they come to terms with this, they have absolutely no problem giving you the ideal offer that you want to have. And that could be ideal, whatever your ideal is. That could be career progression, that could be more compensation, that could be more flexibility, better culture, work-life balance. It could really be anything. And I'm telling you this because you've been focusing on technical skill sets and developing those for a long time, probably more than 6 months now, and you're still not in your ideal roles. And that is because we're focusing on all of the wrong things. We are focusing on things that they genuinely do not matter anymore. If you're a tech professional, which you probably are if you're watching this, you already have experience, you've already done key projects and had a level of impact within the company that you currently reside in. You've probably got a few certifications as well, perhaps. And because you have all of those things, and you still are getting rejections and ghostings, it means that that's not actually the problem. That's not actually the solution, it's the problem. And if we continue to stay stuck, focused on the problem, opposed to actually focusing on the solution, we're always going to continue to stay stuck with this problem, with these rejections, with these ghostings. And the reason for that is because we're not focusing on what truly matters. Companies want to know that they've made the best choice, and they don't do that based on qualifications alone. That is an aspect, of course, but it's not the biggest thing. You can do this easily through marketing. And that is going to be the solution to all of your problems for landing your ideal role in tech. Now, this is something that, is probably relatively new to you, right? Because of course I had to spend a lot of time building up these strategies to know exactly that this works and this is actually a thing. So come to terms with it, understand it. If you want to ask me questions in the YouTube comments, feel free to, or on Instagram. And I can provide more clarity to that, as I will do in the future with more videos like this. Now, I'm going to continue sitting here looking over the sunset as I reflect on my life and the choices and decisions that I've made that have led me here. And I wish you all the best. I'll see you in the next video.